Okay. So I think it's good that we check that we're all connected to the rest of the people. Can we hear each other from all the places? So let's start with, because I can't see anything. Let's start with Prizren, which we talked to earlier. Prizren, hi. Yeah. Very loud, Prizren. All right. It's great to hear from you. Anyway, just I should remind you, don't forget to vote, and we'll start with the we'll continue with the conversation from here on. Could we hear Belgrade? Is Belgrade online? Can you hear us, Belgrade? Offline. Oh, okay. So we go to Ljubljana. Can we hear Ljubljana? Was cut? Okay. Which one is on? Zagreb. Zagreb. Hi, Zagreb. Hi. Oh, we've got Zagreb online. Fantastic. Okay. Who else is online? Podgorica? Podgorica. Yay! Angelka, I think I hear your voice. There we can on the computer. Oh, that's the thing. So, Bojan, if you can turn the computer a little bit towards us, then the whole thing will be much better. Yeah. Belgrade is there as well. Okay. Anna offline, Zagreb. Anyway, we're all connected. The Balkan is finally, you know, united in one one discussion. Anyway, we'll get your questions. We're not going to plug in for every question. We're going to lose too much time. We'll just continue the conversation where we stop. But first of all, the volume off in every city so that we can talk. Well, technology is perfect, but you know, what can we do? Anyway, thanks again for having like a 1 day off to come here and plug into to the Balkans. And thank you most of all to make this film, which I'm sure we all kind of need, you know, in one way or the other. The thing is not just that you are making a film to raise the issue. I also think that, like, creatively you have to be very witty to dare and go on this road trip for 6 years and live with it, not only while shooting it, you know, but also afterwards, and see how people perceived it and how perhaps they even attack you for it, or you know, raise different issues which are kind of ethically always on the edge. But you know, I've seen previous films of yours. You're quite witty with walking on the very kind of thin line between what you've seen and what you've experienced and what you put in your film. So, I mean, I imagine you do this in the editing mostly. While you're doing films, you're just surviving it, or no?
No. Well, hi again. No, films, of course, are written, so to say, also in editing, but this film specifically is a very conceptual film, actually. Part of the concept was to build a means of transport, which is like this kind of spaceship, small one. So we built it for the film. It was a part of the concept. Also a part of the concept was that it looks ridiculous and stupid. So we would come to places that people can, you know, laugh at us, and we can have a connection because of that. Also, it was a concept that it was a provocation to the military world. because we were basically penetrating in a world which we should not be with this kind of thing, you know. You don't go with small airplanes to Libyan air bases, you know, to Libyan Air Force centers, you know. So we knew it was going to stir some, it was a provocation, but it was part of the concept. And a lot of things that happen as a consequence of this kind of idea as a basis were also foreseeable. We knew it. We will have trouble with the military. We knew we will have people astonished, and we came like a circus group into a village where people have never seen an airplane, and they would say, "What are you doing here?" And we would say the title of the film, which is "Become as Friends." And I think there's a phone ring, and so so a lot of things you see are let's say scenes that I had seen before. You know, I have seen by living in Central Africa for many years. You know, I have seen many times statesmen or ambassadors talking to tribal people. You know, so because I've seen it so many times, I knew in advance what they would say. So I think we were just talking about this before. I knew what the investors would say. I knew what the militaries would say. I knew more or less what the Chinese would say. You know, the Chinese said like, "Well, we come as friends. All we want is the resources, and we don't want to harm everybody." Blaming me as a European for having screwed up Africa, and I take the blame because I'm, you know, I can take it. It's a part of the film too. I also used the momentum of a naive traveler. You know, and when people say, "Well, you guys bring all the arms from France," I have two options. I can, as a filmmaker, I can say, "Yeah, of course I know. I made a film about it. It's called Darwin's Night." Or I can say, "Ah, really, really?" And so this, of course, it's kind of a way to you know, engage with people, you know, and engage with this person's, let's say, frequency, you know. The way he talks, I find very attractive and very interesting. He's very smart, but he's also a fool, you know. So he's this kind of Dostoevsky figure, and I have to kind of you know, be in a flow with this person. Yeah, yeah, or understand. Yeah, maybe not always understand, but try to understand and try to, you know, you know, go with it. You know? So this is the work of this kind of filmmaking. You know?
With tribal people, it's another thing with the tribal people. I mean, there's no real translation for what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Well, again, with tribal people, it is very problematic because really there comes a point when you really say, why am I here? What am I doing? Because I shouldn't be here. I should leave them alone. But of course, I didn't come usually alone. I came in the shadow of the missionaries, you know, and I was trying to see what are those people from my part of the world doing, and they're giving, you know, food and tennis socks to people, and I was like, wow, that's important, you know, tennis socks, you know. And so my I guess my yeah, but the thing is, what you see in the movie is not, you don't see only missionaries giving, you know, dresses to naked people. You see a guy behind the camera being, you know, freaking out and being astonished and amazed and about what's happening. So what you see in these kind of films is not just this first layer of let's say reality, but more important is like this, the second and third and fourth layer of reality, which is psychological ground of things, you know, and how you look at people and how you are fascinated by somebody. That translates into film. And if you can see a woman singing "My Land, My Land," you see somebody singing, but you can also feel the person behind the camera being fascinated by this moment, by the beauty of the moment or so. And you can also feel the fascination by a warlord who cannot sing, you know, who forgets the words of the national anthem, you know. It's also a form of fascination, you know. It's a different kind of fascination. It's a terrifying fascination, you know. But I think my fascination for the beauty and for you know, what we call maybe the grain of revolution or some kind of resistance, it's fantastic, you know, when you can feel that. But it's also fantastically interesting when you can feel the pathology of hundreds of years of colonialism. When somebody says, "We the black people are too stupid, please come and take our land and help us with the tractors," you know. I mean, how can somebody say that, you know? And when you hear it, I think most people understand a lot of things like this suddenly, because you go like, shit, you know, there's something really, really terrifying going on, you know. Because ultimately, everything you have seen in this film, I think you knew it already. You have seen it before. You have read about things like this. You have seen it in your own environment somehow, in some kind of translated way. But when it's formulated in a movie, it's suddenly it's like a, you know, ideally it's kind of like a shortcut in your brain, or some kind of a magical cocktail that makes your brain, you know, more creative, and you kind of connect things that you already knew, but you never thought about the connections of them also. But I think most of all is empathy and fascination. I think that's the most magical thing, and because it can really, really be translated in film, I guess. So
I should go to the questions. I don't know, can we take a question first of all from the audience here? Or do we have other questions, Phoebe? Is there like a line of questions? Is there any questions, like immediate one? No. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. So the question is, how different was the film from your initial idea? Like, what did you write as a treatment, and what was this? Podgorica, okay.
Well, the initial idea was more of us as strange white people in it, because I knew the plane was going to be a part of the film, and all the mishaps and all the problems we had, of course, as these strange white people in this context, were good scenes, you know, because every time we had a problem, we were like, okay, we have a problem, but it's a good scene, you know, for the film. And so my plan was in the beginning to use more of this, and then in editing I cut it out, and I left only the beginning of the film with, you know, Hubert as a pilot going on this trip, but then it's no longer there, because you needed it in the beginning because I wanted you to understand the kind of nature of this trip. But afterwards, it's not important anymore. It's not, you know, it's not about Hubert in Africa. It's about something much more important and much bigger. So I had to take out a lot of scenes which I thought were fantastic and funny and strange and fantastic, you know, souvenir for us, which are now in the trash can. So you, yeah. I had to cut my well behind the camera, but yeah. So.
Okay. So do we have another one from here? There? Aha. There's questions.
We already answered this.
Aha. We were already there. Yay.
Because we answered questions when you were still watching the film.
Yeah, because we had this little delay.
Oh, Le Pire.
Le Pire.
Okay. Well, who killed him? A human being with a Kalashnikov, and what killed him? That when there is people in a bad situation, and most men have guns, and then there is a problem, and this is the fact. So if people just die all the time because there's conflict, and there's people who try to have food, people who try to find a young lady that have a gun. So I have a gun, I take a lady. I'm hungry, I take a lady. If the brother is not agreeing, he's dead. So it's just one of these, millions of people who die in Africa for nothing. For fight for resources, fight for food, fight for cattle, for cows, water, or because they have to defend some kind of stupid pipeline for oil or whatever, So it can be anything. So Lepire, this person who died, and that day when we were in that village, was just one more, and I didn't think it was so necessary to go into detail who and what and why. It was just one more case, and I think that's universal and it's understandable. I think so. Yeah, and I didn't know so much more. I just knew there was trouble. I think the villagers, they didn't exactly know what happened. It was just at night. They were shooting, and one of them died. And this was Lepire, No.
The question is, was he behind the camera in the war scenes? He says no.
No, I mean the only parts I did not film in this whole film was when I'm in the picture, when you can see me. Obviously, no, actually not even that, because sometimes I just had it running when I was in Libya with this strange general with the baby game. I just had the camera running on the seat of the co-pilot, and it was just running. So there was nobody filming, just the camera. And the archive, it was clearly marked in the film. This is archive shot by a soldier, filmed by a soldier. So I'm not really not a film maker who goes to places where people shoot. I'm completely not interested in that. I have no desire and no interest in seeing people shooting each other's brains out. I mean, no. So, and when it's the work of maybe war reporters or something, but I'm not. I'm a filmmaker. So.
Yeah. So shall we go to another question? Yeah. This we already answered.
Third film, I'm not going to talk.
It's a secret. We'll wait for it, and hopefully next time, we'll be all connected at the same time when it's there.
Yeah, my next film in Africa, I will shoot in Australia, I think. So that's a secret.
I like that. So I think you made a lot of people curious now. So mind your step.
I make people curious.
What was the evolution in the case of the old man and those 300,000 acres of land?
So what was?
Was he really not aware of what he was signing?
Yeah.
The question is, what was the resolution of the old man, and was he not aware that he was signing what he was signing?
Well, this situation, first to tell you the context, I do a lot of grassroots research for my films. That's why it took me 6 years for this film. But in this case, this scene was researched by a group of people in the US. It's called the Oakland Institute. A woman called Anuradha Mittal. You can go online, oaklandinstitute.com. Those people are specialized in land grabbing issues on the planet everywhere. And one of the cases they had found was this specific case of 600,000 acres being basically stolen through this stupid contract for $25,000 by a company in Texas. So it was like a case study from lawyers actually in the USA. And they had put that online, and I found it, and I knew that it was South Sudan, so I was tracking that place, and I was trying to find that person, etc. And I think most people know that this situation is a very, very repetitive situation in colonial history. It's like, for example, New York was sold for 6 guilders to a Dutch businessman from, you know, exactly the same situation. It's a hoax, it's a theft, it's a pirate.
Someone had something against this. You know, someone was opposing to you.
Yeah, someone from Texas.
Shut up, Hubert.
So to finish your question is when I came to this very situation, to this specific old man, I came with a group of activists from South Sudan who had physically the contract, and I said, well, when we find that man, we can just ask him what was happening, how is it possible, and so we found him after 1 week of searching, flying around, going to wrong places. We found him. We had the contract, and the thunderstorm was coming. So in terms of filmmaking, a fantastic situation, because there was a lot of excitement and a lot of things happening, and a lot of people said, thought that we are investors actually. So it was actually dangerous for us because they thought we were the people who wanted to buy the land. It was in the middle of the night. We are like foreigners, and they said, you guys with your contract, we're going to kill you because you made this contract. We was like, no, it's not our contract. You know, it was very complicated. But we had our friends, and they could kind of explain the situation. And then we shot the scene, and the man, I think it's not completely clear if he was forced to sign it, or if he maybe got a little bit of a commission or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's a typical case that happens all the time and in every moment of history until today, and it happens on and on and on and on. The second thing was when I had filmed this, the BBC World Service in South Sudan also found the website from the Oakland Institute. The BBC World Radio went to the same place and made a radio show about exactly this case. And confronting the ministers, they went to this, very different kind of work, So they went to ask him what happened. They went to see the minister. They went to see the Ministry of Land, etc. And what happened is, because the BBC was inquiring, the government said, okay, the contract is no longer valid, and this old man is confused. It's his fault. He shouldn't have signed it. Blah blah blah. So the government was completely whitewashed by their own lies, basically. But the truth is that, of course, a week later, I'm sure there would be another contract and another minister and another chief, basically taking their hands and going, sign here. Here's your fingerprint. If you don't know how to write, whatever. This is what King Leopold did, or Stanley in the Congo. And it's really, for me, the scene was so important. Why? Because in all those years of filming this film, I was researching so hard to find documents, photos, fiction films or documentary films about this situation. Because about Leopold, about Stanley, I could find nothing, no archive. And I went to see the author of the book called King Leopold's Ghost, Adam Hochschild, who is it's a fantastic book, by the way, King Leopold's Ghost, about the Congo and about the colonial history of the Congo. And even Adam Hochschild, he had no idea. He didn't know. He said, I don't know if there is any archive. So I think your mother is calling. Just switch it off. So the crazy thing is that I had no trace of whatsoever, not even fiction film. And suddenly I have a real situation in real time in front of my camera. And it was completely unbelievable for me, that it happens, that this situation happened. And of course, as a filmmaker, you cannot not influence reality, because it was my initiative to go. It was my initiative to find the contract. It was my initiative to ask those local NGOs or grassroots, can you talk in your language with the village chief and ask him what happened with this contract. So it's, of course, in a way, it's not, you don't like as a filmmaker walk blind into a village and see what you can film and then suddenly something happens. Sometimes when you engage with somebody, when you say, can I talk to you, it's already interfering in this person's, of course, reality, you know. That's what it is. That's filmmaking. I think it's for intelligent and visually literate people, it's clear, this kind of situation, right? It's not, I'm not coincidentally in the middle of the night somebody comes up with a contract and says, oh, by the way, can can we talk about land grabbing? No. So this was, in a way, this situation. Other situations not, but this very situation was in a way the outcome of active filmmaking. But of course, it is still very factual and it's very true, and he really is that person. It was a real situation, and it was really documentary. You know? So, yeah.
Maybe we should try to see the other places. Podgorica has a question? Okay, let's go to Podgorica.
Is New York still with us? Or?
Podgorica has a question. The shots you decided to delete that you regret now. So did you delete some shots and you regret them now, but they're not in the film?
Well, I think no filmmaker ever deletes anything. You know, you just
keep it
and keep it. No, and I don't regret. No, I worked for 2 years on the editing, and I think this is the film I wanted to make. So.
Not everything can go in. So Podgorica, there's still a lot of things there.
Actually, okay, I will tell you one thing. I have one short answer. I do regret one thing. Is when I came to those local villages, when the missionaries from Texas came to bring the light and to bring clothes and to bring the Bible and all these good things, I realized that there was a mirror. There was something happening which is very, very similar by, of course, the Muezzin and the Muslim infiltration, Muslim colonization of the center of Africa. And I did not find that in this film. So there are actually, people who have had money from Gaddafi to make mosques, who went with the Quran, who went to the local villages and said, you should not be naked, you have to wear clothes, you have to march in step, you have to read the Quran, and you have to follow orders. So it was exactly the same thing. It was exactly the same thing. And from the point of view of the Toposa tribe, there was no difference. No difference. Texas or Khartoum, same thing. Same idiotic imposition of, we come as friends and we want to change you guys the way that we think you should be. And this is basically a profound, this is a profound crime. This is the history of Europe, by the way. And if we want or not, this is what we are living on. So.
Questions? Here from local question.
I find it really disturbing the moment when the girls jewelry was supposed to be toilet, and they were forbidden to wear it just like that, and they had to wear a uniform. The teacher taught them that if they don't wear the uniform, they're not smart. They don't be smart. They're not human. Yeah. So don't you think that kind of knowledge transfer to those people is actually going against their own culture? It's actually, how should you say, kind of doing the bad thing instead of doing the right thing.
I'll just zip up for the rest of the audiences. So the question is about this girl's jewelry, which was tossed in the toilet, and sort of kind of self-destruction of their own culture. Whether,
Destruction. It's destruction from an idea again, which is exterior. Because the teacher who says you should not have those beats is the result of a missionary school. It's not a tribal man anymore. He's somebody who has become a man of Jesus, you know. So, and because he's a man of Jesus, the jewelry for a 12-year-old girl is an offense. It's a sexual symbol in a way, because the girl is 12, she wants to be beautiful. It's an identity. She wants to be herself. She makes it herself. The beads are maybe the oldest expression of human beings' identity. It's like when you look at Lucy or this, you know, you find 1 million-year-old bones of human beings. You find this exactly same kind of things around the skeletons of people, you know. So it is as old as human beings almost. And then comes somebody and says, take it off, you know, because you shouldn't be what you have been all the time. You shouldn't be a sexual being. You should not be free. You should march in step. You should learn how to wear clothes, because when you have clothes, you can be a soldier, and then you can protect the oil pipeline. This is it, you know. It's so terrifying. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I've been through this too often, and it's just too painful, you know. And I think I'm glad that you see it as a spectator, and I'm glad that you feel the pain. And I'm glad that the film can translate it, because it's something that really we have to come to terms with, all of us, you know.
The other thing we talked this afternoon is perception of the border, the straight line in Africa, which it functions only in Europe. Although in Europe also we have problems with the borders, especially in the Balkans. But the perception of a straight line to indigenous, I don't know, tribal people is something that's not possible, actually. So.
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons why, many reasons why I needed a plane to make this film, but one of the reasons why I needed a plane is to understand history from space, so to say. Because when you see a tribal village, it's round and organic, and when you see 15 trees in a line, it's a missionary station, or it's the governor's government or something. It's something, you know, from the outside. So geometry, the square is winning over the circle. So this is basically the bottom line, you know. And sometimes it's so clearly visible, you know. It's very clear. It's like you just see from above. You can see forms. You can say, okay, here is this tribal people, and here is oil companies. You can see it from the moon, I think, you know, just by the form of it, you know.
But the tribes had also borders where they would meet, right?
Well, technology. What? The solar Bible is important, because otherwise the word of God cannot be transmitted, you know. The solar Bible was one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen. You know, it's like it's solar. It's directly from God. It touches your heart. You know, it's like, yeah, it went straight to my heart. So I had to put it in the film. And I was actually, when I heard this first, I was like, solar Bible, what? Like, and it was like, yeah, solar Bible, and then this switches it on, it speaks. And actually, again, as the technique of filmmaking is not only to film the solar Bible, but it's to film how we as a small film crew were going like, what? So this, you can feel, I think you can feel it, you know, it's like, what's going on? You know, it's like, what the fuck is going on? You know, so this, it is a fantastic thing, you know, because it's you kind of experience life like a child almost, you know, when you're 5 and you see something new and you're like, wow, you know, I just saw something amazing, and there's 2 kids and they're like, oh, me too, I saw it. What was that? And you know, so it's kind of recognizing or questioning life in a naive way is I think, the ground substance of this kind of films. You know, it's like, because of course you go to places where you shouldn't really be, and where you're not really allowed. It's not really. It's a bit forbidden. So it's I think I have a lot of this childish kind of thing, you know, going on, and flying in an airplane, and we were singing in the plane. We were filming ourselves singing and making loopings and stuff, but it's not in the film. And one of the dreams of children, which is I think a very fantastic and noble dream, is to oppose authority, oppose patriarchy. You know, so when you see a dictator or a man who is suppressing people, who has a disregard to women or disregard to rights and values, and you can screw with this person in a way with your film, it's a victory. You know, it's a victory, just like when you're 10 years old and you're in class and you don't like a teacher, and you I don't know, put a banana here, he falls and everyone laughs, and it's a victory against authority, against blind authority. Okay, banana is not a good example, but something more smart than banana, but a smart joke or something. He's yeah. Okay, it's my phone now. Sorry.
Fixed mine finally. So we go to another question. Let's see what's Zagreb doing, because we've not heard Zagreb. Hey, Zagreb. Hey, we see you. Is there a question coming from Zagreb? We can't hear each other. Oh, okay. So we have one from Prizren? Okay. Let's go to Prizren. Can we hear Prizren? Can you comment?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay, so the question is Europe with migration crisis and the coming well,
it's a good question, actually. When I watch television and I see a German, Austrian minister talking about the crisis, and when they say we will punish those, people who bring the refugees over the border, we will put them in prison, we will solve the problem, I can just strangle this guy. You know, I cannot believe how is it possible that our politicians dare to never go back to the source of the problem. You know, they always like go on the top of the problem. It's like, there's a problem on the border, there are all these people who have to be fed. Whose fault is it? It's the fault of those poor guys who got some money and brought them over with a boat or with a truck. You know, I mean, poor guys, they are criminals when they, you know, in the, of course, in the proper sense. But this is not the problem. The problem is the source, and the problem is the source, and the source is hundreds of years of disregard, patriarchy, and interference, and colonialism. That is the problem. And this movie, We Come as Friends, is a very simple journey into the other direction, to the core of the problem. It's like when you screw up a place so much and for so long, and with so much blindness and stupidity, actually, then this is what's happening. And I think what we're seeing now in the crisis with refugees, it's only the very beginning of a long story where we're going to see the next 20, 30 years. And we're going to see, like, unbelievably, so much more, and so many more people are going to move because of environmental destruction, climate change. So, but we have to start to go to the core of the questions and ask ourselves the real questions: what is going on in the grain of the problem? Yeah. So that's what I can say, and I cannot, you know, in detail. Like, I don't know so much. I must say, I don't know so much. I only see what everyone sees and reads, is that there are, you know, hundreds of thousands of people on the run, which, yeah.
Yeah. Once again? Oh, we should go to the results of the votings. Okay, so let's go through the results of the votings. Tell me. We'll go to. Uh-huh.
If there were any particular negative reactions by people that you were accompanying, or especially with the guide. Did they at least realize
What was going
or learn something
from it? Did the so-called bad guys learn something from it during this process of filmmaking? You mean? Did you have direct confrontations afterwards, or?
Well, one of the problems of what you refer to as bad guys is that they don't think they're bad guys. So I think that's already a definition is from the beginning a problem, because everyone thinks they do the right thing. So secondly, the consequence is that they probably don't want to let me into their country anymore, which is okay. I don't care. And the third maybe consequence is that they will learn, and that's a terrifying consequence. They will learn to maybe not talk to people like Hubert anymore, and that's a terrifying thing, because it's basically cutting bridges. I have this experience. I had it with Darwin's Nightmare. I was after Darwin's Nightmare, which was a film about gun running, under threat. I had lawsuits and death threats and 3 years of terrifying fight. But even people who were trying to make films after that, in Tanzania, where I shot Darwin's Nightmare, were arrested just because they had a camera. You know? They were just near some kind of airport. They were arrested, and I knew a lot of cases. So that's one of the really horrifying effects of films. So if you ask me if films change the world, yes, but you don't know which way. So.
To conclude this talk, I think I wanted to ask you about the mosquitoes, but let's go to the final conclusions of the vote, so we can hear the rest of the people. So who is online? Tell me. Hit. So let's go to 1, 2.
Out of 10.
Ljubljana out of 5. Yeah, very well. 4.65. Zagreb 4.4. Belgrade 4.3, Podgorica 4, Skopje 4.8, Prizren 3.6. Okay, so we got the whole picture.
So we're leading over Donald Trump, or is it?
What's the next
same?
screening? But yeah, I would quickly like to.
What's wrong with the people in Princeton? Fuck you guys.
I would quickly like to hear something, if we can plug into them. No? Can we at least hear?
It's rigged.
Huh? No? No. Oh, okay. Okay, there's my last question, and then really is the animal I hated so far, and it's the animal who's deadly and killed so many people in Africa. Now finally became a friend as well, because you told me something precious today. So if you can share that about mosquitoes.
Yeah, mosquitoes are interesting animals. So, there's the Gates Foundation puts millions and millions and millions into fighting malaria carried by mosquitoes. I personally died almost twice from malaria in my 20 years in Africa. But actually, this animal is a fantastically is kind of a savior of the rainforest, because only because of mosquitoes and malaria the Congo is still a rainforest. Because if the Europeans would not have had this problem, they would have chopped it down 100 years ago. And so it's actually a very ecological animal. So I thank all the mosquitoes on the planet for being around and for keeping biting to try to shut down.
Thank you, Hubert. This was really great to have you here. Thank you also all the rest of the city. This was like the first time that we're all plugged in, off and on, but we continue doing this because it's great fun, at least I think. And I think we should develop it further. Let's see.